So what's Vybz Kartel's next move now that Jamaica's appeal court has ruled against him? Attorney Roderick Gordon brings us answers.
I see the fire spreading.
Time out, but lives on eternal. The pioneer and ambassador of Jamaica's music, Bob Andy.
Young, gifted, and black.
We will sum up his extraordinary journey and hear from his daughter, Bianca Anderson, about who he was as a Jamaican man and father.
I've got to go back home.
And as we continue to find ways to ease the stress of the corona pandemic, once again we are throwing a party. Virtually. Featuring two of the baddest party jocks on this rock. DJs Nicco and Smurf. Right here on our stage. All coming up, and don't miss that party. Okay? Welcome to the show, everyone. I am Winford Williams. We'll be back.
Online worldwide, the internationally acclaimed Onstage with Winford Williams.
Download our app and be on our stage anywhere, everywhere, always. As many of you would know by now, after nearly 2 years of review, including a 3-week hearing, Jamaica's Court of Appeal affirmed the original verdict of guilty in Kartel's 2014 murder case. What's the world boss's next move is a question lurking right now across Jamaica and the music space. Our legal friend, attorney Roderick Gordon, is on our stage right now to help us with that question. Sir Gordon, sir, welcome.
Thank you, Winford.
Thanks for coming and on such short notice to help us.
Certainly, my pleasure.
Once again. All right.
Yes.
So, what's your take on the case?
The judgment is a very long one, extremely thorough. I expected that the Court of Appeal, after a considerable amount of time, would have delivered a lengthy judgment.
Okay.
Something that is over 230 pages. I don't think it's the first time it has happened, but I doubt there are many other decisions given by the Court of Appeal of Jamaica that would be as long.
So what are the options? What does he do now? What can he do now?
Sure. So as you would know, in the legal system in Jamaica, there are 3 levels. There's the Supreme Court, where the trial was heard. Then we have the Court of Appeal of Jamaica. The third level of court is our final appellate jurisdiction, which is the Privy Council, which sits in the United Kingdom.
The United Kingdom.
Yes. I would think his legal team that have over the period spoken fairly confidently
Yes.
as to their
The strength of their case.
the strength of their case will very likely go in that direction.
And the work is already done, isn't it? The same work that they have done for the appeal court.
Yes.
Isn't it the same?
Well, it is and it isn't. Because at every stage of appeal, what you are able to argue changes somewhat. So when they now look to go to the Privy Council, they're going to have fresh grounds of appeal arising from the decision of the Court of Appeal.
Of this decision?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes. So they will have more work to do because they now have to go and analyze this decision and demonstrate to the Privy Council.
So technically it's a review of the review.
Indeed.
A review of the review
Indeed.
done by the appeal court.
And then, as you can imagine, even more years after the trial, that other review, which is now going to be done by the Privy Council, is even further removed from the original facts and the original evidence. So they would look even less into the evidence presented and would really look now to points of law and how the law was considered, whether the correct law was applied in coming to the decision generated by our Court of Appeal.
So, do you have any numbers on the ratio of overturns by the Privy Council of cases brought by Jamaicans?
I don't, no.
Okay, and that's it.
And that's it.
As far as legal steps
Correct.
are concerned, are options for cartel.
Yes.
So, are there any chance of him getting a reduced sentence now, going forward?
That is always a possibility. My understanding is that that is a matter that the Court of Appeal considered and have ruled on in this appeal. So it would be a matter that would be live before the Privy Council to consider.
Oh, so the penal system wouldn't have anything to do with it?
No.
They can't reduce it? They can't say, okay, this guy's a model.
Well, in the correction penal system, that now is a question of are you eligible for parole? And then there's a separate process.
Yes.
Which would come into effect in saying, yes, have you been a model prisoner? Have you contributed to the community within the prison? Have you shown remorse and so on? And those factors can be taken into consideration.
Have you broken any laws, any rules while you were in there, which it is alleged that he has recently with the phone that they found in there. And,
yes.
And they alleged live, I don't know, I think that is still out for...
Well,
that is not conclusive, is it? That he did that live
these days with technology, I'm probably sitting at home with a green screen, right? And I appear to be on stage with you. There are so many things the technology is capable of doing. So it would be a bit much of me now to say conclusively that it occurred,
that it happened
or not.
Yes.
But certainly, if the authorities determined that they had enough evidence and cause to believe that it did happen, I think Mr. Palmer probably created another piece of history in our country to have been incarcerated and join some live broadcast without the permission, of course, of the correctional authority.
So what could happen if he's found to have done it?
Well, let's say it would not sit well with any parole hearing or any consideration of a reduction in sentence for good behavior. Now, in terms of the actual rules of the correctional service, I am not clear because of the novel nature of this breach that there is any penalty for broadcasting live from your cell. Having the phone in there, perhaps, yes, there would be a penalty for that.
And there were some technical, some alleged breaches in the trial.
Yes.
Such as the tampering with technical evidence.
Yes.
And so on.
Yes.
Are there any specific ruling on those?
There are specific rulings on those, and those would no doubt form, I would think, a substantial part of the appeal before the Privy Council.
Okay.
They would be relatively new rulings in our jurisdiction at the level of the Court of Appeal in terms of the admissibility of the electronic evidence and these allegations that evidence...
But in this local decision, do we know what the position is, the court's position is on those alleged breaches?
They have issued a decision and have made their point. I have to say I have not yet reviewed that to be able to say to you authoritatively what they have said.
Okay, so it's not a win per se for Cartel.
I'm sure in the Court of Appeals analysis, they have looked at those issues, okay? But within law, there is a principle called corroboration. So is it that
Okay.
this evidence is just put forward by this one person, or is there any other corroborating evidence?
What does he do in the meantime? What does he do from now on? In
As
your
to-
view, if you were his lawyer, what would you
Yes.
say to him to do now?
I would tell him to be patient,
Yes.
to imagine he is in the sands in Saudi Arabia and he is watching each grain of sand blow off in the wind, and there's no way to count how many grains of sand are in the desert, but you literally have to just remain there and watch them blow until that process is done.
So just lay it low.
Just lay
Go
low.
easy.
Yes.
Roderick, sir. Okay. You know, the new ale. See the new ale, yeah?
Right?
This.
Indeed,
Yes.
indeed,
Yeah.
indeed.
Thank you so much for coming and clarifying so much for us, sir, as usual.
And I thank you, Winford, and I think that it's important in all of what is going on now. The arm of the state, which is the courts, have administered justice, have done their duty. I think we should recognize that even in these trying times, it could have probably been just as, we wouldn't have noticed that, let me put it a better way, if for the next 20 days this decision did not come. So it is good to know that all arms of the state continue to operate as best they can. History was made with the delivery of this decision as well, because it was, as I understand, delivered electronically. So the lawyers joined by telephone, I understand. A first in our jurisdiction. I expect we're going to see a lot more use of technology in how we handle cases and the administration of justice.
Thank you, sir. All right. So there you have him right here on our stage. The man himself, Roderick Gordon, explaining as much as he can this case for us. All right, stay with us right here on stage. Still to come.
I see the fire spreading.
Time out, but lives on eternal. The pioneer and ambassador of Jamaica's music, Bob Andy.
Young, gifted, and black.
We will sum up his extraordinary journey and hear from his daughter, Bianca Anderson, about who he was as a Jamaican man and father. And later, once again, we are throwing a party. Virtually. Featuring two of the baddest party jocks on this rock. DJs Nicco and Smurf. Right here on our stage. We'll be back.
Online worldwide, the internationally acclaimed Onstage with Winford Williams.
Download our app and be on our stage anywhere, everywhere, always. As we continue to mourn the loss of reggae legend Bob Andy, who passed away last week after a short bout with cancer, in this segment of our show, we take a look at his pioneering contribution to Jamaica's music, as well as to hear from his daughter about who he was to his family and friends. Born Keith Anderson, Bob Andy emerged as songwriter-performer in 1966 with the smash hit, I've Got to Go Back Home.
I've got to go back home.
A song which has become an anthem for Jamaicans everywhere. Bob, who had spent his singing and songwriting apprenticeship with the legendary vocal group The Paragons, which he founded with Don Evans and Howard Barrett, was later joined by John Holt.
He was a co-founder of the Paragons, and he wrote most of the songs that they did. He then became a solo singer.
As a solo artist, Bob became a bright star at Studio One, where he worked closely with Jackie Mittoo on that label's seminal sound. And besides writing songs like Feeling Soul, Going Home, Too Experienced, and My Time for himself, Bob contributed hits for many of the other artists at Studio One.
I think we went through a 3-year period where he just totally controlled the airwaves, both the songs that he did and what he wrote for people like Delroy Wilson. I mean, one of Master Griffith's timeless, enduring songs, truly, is written by Bob Andy. Not many people know that.
The beautiful thing about Bob as well, there are songs that other artists like Ken Booth and Master Griffiths and so forth did while they were at Studio One.
Yes.
That people would believe that those songs were written by Marcia or Ken or whoever. When it was Bob Andy, because even from that time, because he was associated with Studio One, he was writing songs for a lot of the artists within Studio One.
Bob burst on the international scene in 1970 when he teamed up with Marcia Griffiths and recorded Nina Simone's Young, Gifted and Black.
Young, gifted and black.
An extensive tour of Europe by Bob and Marcia followed, resulting in another UK hit single and 2 albums for Trojan Records. The duo of Bob and Marcia split in 1974 when Marcia became one of Bob Marley's I3. It was during this time that Andy, once again a solo performer, recorded the hit single Fire Burning.
I see the fire spreading, it's getting hotter and hot.
And check it out, depicting the new wave of social consciousness in Jamaica at that time.
Check it out.
Come listen to me.
He really truly came into his own in the 70s because he was at the forefront of a worldwide movement against apartheid, against the atrocities of the multinationals. And he was able to see down the road.
Hence songs like Fire Burning.
Fire Burning.
I see the fire spreading, it's getting hotter and hot.
And so Bob became the artist of the revolutionaries in Africa. Bob became the artist of the freedom fighters in Eastern Europe. I mean, people don't know that Bob traveled through Eastern Europe, just on the verge of them shaking the yoke of the Iron Curtain.
After reuniting with Marcia Griffiths for the LP Really Together on his own label, as well as a solo album in 1978 called Lots of Love and I, Bob began a 5-year absence from music as he became increasingly involved in acting.
And the Father tell you in the very first chapter of the Holy Scriptures that mankind must be fruitful and multiply.
And in 1979, after playing lead roles in several theatrical productions, made his debut on the silver screen as leading man in Lenny Littlewhite's Children of Babylon.
Don't put me, man! First thing is, I man rule this territory.
In the mid-1980s, Bob Andy made a triumphant return to music with the hit single Honey.
Each time we kiss, it's sweeter than the times before.
Followed by the #1 album, Friends, and the headliner of the first Japanese reggae sunsplash in 1985. The retrospective album followed in 1987 to widespread critical acclaim that provided the missing historical link between the Studio One masterpiece, Bob Andy's songbook, and his more recent work. Bob Andy's credit in music is all over the spectrum, from performer-producer, A&R executive, and more. But it was his songwriting contribution for which Bob Andy was most revered and was often referred to as reggae's most covered songwriter alive.
Bob songs lends itself to more than probably any other Jamaican writer.
Bob's unique role as a songwriter is incomparable, second to none. His songs can be interpreted in any kind of musical genre. I mean, he has written some of the most subtle songs, some of the most subtle love songs. There's one in particular, Honey, that moves you to tears every time you hear it.
A pioneer and ambassador of Jamaica's music, Babandi, time out, but lives on, eternal.
I'm very proud. I'm exceptionally proud to be a part, to plant some seed and to watch it grow and to watch it flower and fruit and is harvested and can eat with those who have also harvested.
That's just a summary of Bob's extraordinary journey in music. But who was he? The Jamaican man, the father. We're joined right now, right here on our stage, by Bianca Anderson, daughter of Babandi. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm tempted to touch, but I won't. You know, we're observing the protocol here. All right, so how are you keeping up?
I think it's a big shock to the family, obviously. You know, he didn't suffer long. It was a fast diagnosis. We really only found out about a month ago, and pancreatic cancer just sneaks up on people, and it's over. So
yes.
We didn't have long, and it was, you know, hard for the family to accept, and I think we're still every day kind of realizing that he's not with us anymore.
So reports that he was suffering for a while, for a long time.
Absolutely untrue. You know, we were in London up until last August together, and he was walking around, and he actually recorded a new track with a young rapper from Hackney. I mean, he was, you know, as healthy as he had been in a while. So.
All right, so we're going to come back to that, but answer for me. Who is he, the man, the Jamaican man, the father?
My mom always describes him as a reluctant artist. So he was, you know, comfortable with his fame, but to the point where he'd never realized that he was actually famous. And, you know, people would walk up to him wherever we were, and, you know, he'd be like, I'm so happy that you like that song. And it was every time someone said that to him, he just couldn't believe that someone, you know, felt the same way he did. Okay. And that was really his thing. And, you know, I remember living with him as a girl in Florida for a while. And, you know, we would go out, we went to church on Sundays. And it was just one of those things where people thought I was his girlfriend.
Oh.
That's how bad it was. I mean, honestly.
Yeah.
But, you know, he was a great dad. He was all about taking me to the beach, you know, helping me learn how to swim. Unfortunately, he was not exactly the homework helper at all. But he was always encouraging, and he really encouraged me in tennis. He was a huge tennis fan, as I'm sure, you know, Lockett down at Ligonier would contend that he absolutely loved tennis. He thought it was one of the few games where you could be equal, where there was no way, if you had the talent and you had the drive, you know, you could win a tennis match. And he was very interested and always reading about, you know, equality and how can we not just be equal, but so that everyone had equity.
Yes.
So, you know, and I think that's a theme that really flowed through his music as well. He was always worried about people being equitable, you know, in whatever society they were living in.
What would you say would be what Bob Andy wants you to tell people about him that most of us didn't know?
He'd probably like to joke and say, you know, that he does not have a bag of money. He always thought that Jamaicans always seemed to think that he was, you know, this rich person living up on a hill, and you know, it wasn't that for him. He really, you know, was an artist, and he lived as an artist, and he didn't hide away any money anywhere. He was just a regular man that happened to. He was a poet.
A poet.
He was a poet. And that's how a lot of his work started. It was with poetry.
And your siblings?
I have 2 brothers.
So you live in the UK or here?
I live in the UK.
In the UK?
Yeah.
All right. So how are things coming together for his memorial?
So obviously with COVID, that's just not possible right now.
Yes.
It's not possible, you know, and also with my siblings still in the UK and the US, it's impossible. They're not going to make it here. And I think as a family, we want to kind of grieve together. And then we need to do something, whether it be a concert, whether it be, whatever it is. He wanted a continuation of the celebration of his life, a continuation of his journey. He wanted that kind of celebration, and he, requested poetry.
Okay, so that would be sometime down the road.
We're looking at, maybe his birthday, or depending on, everything is dependent on COVID, honestly.
Yes.
I think the big thing was that Marcia was not able to say goodbye to Dad in person. It's one of those things. Obviously, they'd been together and in each other's lives forever. I call her Auntie Marcia. My brother calls her the same thing. We've always been very close, and I think I was telling the story of how being in a studio with the two of them and listening to them harmonize even after all this time.
Yes.
I mean, you get chills.
Oh yeah.
It's amazing to see them. So I can only imagine what it must have been like back in the 70s, because their voices somehow just magically blended together.
Oh yes, and every time they perform, you can see the reaction in the crowd and the audience.
Just the sheer love between
Yes.
them, amazing. And it was not just on stage; it was off stage, and it was in our lives. So that's one person that she was always there. We're going to do something. I think we're going to do something here in Jamaica, and hopefully we'll do something in the UK. Until then, we've been really thankful for the amount of airplay, and we can see it. We can literally see people starting to dig into the catalogue that they really didn't know existed. And he left a large amount of unpublished songs that have just never been released. So this is by far not the end of Bob Andy.
Oh.
There's still more to come, and as we work through and gather, I think, what's out there. Because, some of it's just, his daddy was very spontaneous in his recording.
And some are tied up in litigation, I take it.
So the Studio One songs are still tied up in litigation. And unfortunately, COVID has stalled more than just the funeral. It's also stalled the court case,
Yes.
which we were supposed to go in May. But no, we're just waiting to find out exactly when we'll be back in court for it. And hopefully we'll get a good result,
I hope so. I hope that there can be a resolve that will suit the family, the estate, and that we can focus, all of us, on the preservation of this icon's legacy in our music.
Yeah.
This is one of our greatest songwriters, performers.
Thank you.
And credit, we can go on crediting him as producer, A&R executive, and those things. So much he's contributed to this catalog, this great catalog.
I think I was both happy and surprised when Buju came to the house, late last year, and literally said there would be no Buju without the song Fire Burning.
Yes.
And people don't realize that song has a history. That song, which Michael Manley was so afraid of that he banned it on the airwaves originally. Yes. Because he was worried it was going to cause unrest. That music that can move people into action. That's really what it was about. I think people say that it's protest music set to a melody, sang by something that sounds kind of like Sam Cooke. So that's how I think of him. He's really most.
Because back in the 70s, he was considered a radical.
He was
a rebel, right?
He was a rebel, and he continued to sing about things that I don't think a lot of people covered. There's a song "You Think It's a Joke," which is on Freely, which is all about the fact that everyone is not taking care of themselves, whether it be doctors and nurses saying that the nation, is sick and people aren't getting the health care that they need, or the rise in mortgage prices and how people can't afford to buy homes anymore. I always say he wrote music for the many, not the few, and he focused on the problems that people face, because he continued to face them himself, and he saw them in his family, and he saw them in the environment that he was living in. So.
Well, you've just sent, I'm sure, millions maybe into his catalog. In this time, when we're facing this tremendous pandemic, Corona, that Bob, in that catalog, a lot of songs that can soothe people, and sort of he was talking about way before anything like this even come here.
Yeah, and the things like songs like Never Give Up the Fight,
yes,
which is all about climate change. I mean, that was released back in the 80s. Dad has really been like, no, we need to fight for the earth. We need to fight, for everything and our rights. So it just, now that it's all, out there, we're hoping that people go and do the delve. You do have to dig, unfortunately, but
I'm sure they will. Thank you so much, Bianca.
Thank you for having me on.
For coming and sharing with us, and extend my condolences to the family.
I will do.
And we'll continue to listen and to play and to keep the memory of this great man alive as much as we can right here on our stage, our little stage.
On a great stage. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, there you have her right here on our stage, Bianca Anderson, daughter of the great legendary Babandi. Stay with us, still to come. Once again, we are throwing a party. Virtually. Featuring two of the baddest party jocks on this rock. DJs Nicco and Smurf. Right here on our stage.
Online worldwide, the internationally acclaimed Onstage with Winford Williams.
Download our app and be on our stage anywhere, everywhere, always. And we're back and ready to blaze the wheels of steel with these two gentlemen, DJ Nicco and DJ Smurf.
DJ Smurf. Oh, call it the world party. We'll call it the world party, right? DJ Nicco, DJ Smurf. All right, so Smurf, I play one, you play one. Mix and move, mix and match. Let's go.
So it's a Nicco, like what he says, 100 million.
Yeah, DJ Smurf.
So what we must do? What we do?
Brick.
Back in it.
Brick pam brick. Brick pam brick pam brick. DJ Smurf. Brick pam brick. Brick pam brick pam brick. When me I use my chopper phone, not chatting aloud. I run with my mother phone. Spanish town.
You know, but I waste time with us, Smurf. Ready when you're ready.
Couple of the phone. The thing can't do loud. Come my clocks boot fast.
Keep up, man.
On a school bus. I move like when
yeah, man, go through, man.
Then my God, which part of the union?
Good thing then. The good thing then. The good thing then.
Quick and fast, we're in it, let's go.
When we do road, me have to wear the good thing then. The good clothes and the good shoes then. Good chain and the good ring then. Me shopping
all right.
And the good store then. Bad man out and stunting. Smurf Kyle them tick like dumpling. Girl with big jumping. Action ready for the pump.
Ready.
Smell fresh like Portland.
All right.
We just cast at the boat and him just calculate the total. Now the money make you get that.
All right.
Pull up. From top.
Where you say you get the money pull up?
Big up everybody we're locked in right now. There's a cash up, pull up. PayPal, pull up.
Yeah.
Mix and chop, you know how it is.
All right, ready. We have to pick up all of the people that are in a quarantine right now.
On stage.
Yeah.
Why you wanna talk about the white lady? I ain't got no. Why you know about the big Benz spark up? Shut up, put it in a spot. Girlfriend claim just as smart to use her.
Don't cut it. We have done. Yeah, we love. All right, ready up.
Force, yeah. So we are coming here with a force, yeah. Blessings we are reap and we coursing on full. Oh, we no rise and boast. Yeah, we give thanks that we need it the most. We have to give thanks that we really supposed to be thankful.
Ready again.
Blessings all for my life and
well, all right.
we thank God for the gratitude is a must. Yeah, we see blessings fall by my right hand.
Ready up. All right.
Rasta man,
Tell them one up.
Rasta nanyam poop. Never hear say me I come in with a goat. Animal cruelty me nah go support. I'm a thankful. Titles to me I promote. Be a veggie chunks when we are on board. Rasta and a green come with me.
Ladies, remember you lock up in your house now, you know, so kitchen and do it.
Let this fall from a rice and we have to give thanks to the yammer.
You know, someone play a song for some of the people that are in a quarantine right now.
Ready?
Yeah. Let this fall
Voila.
from a rice and I have to give thanks to the yammer.
The one that brand new, you know. Nicco, the one that brand new. This is the one that know Nicco, the one that
We just play some FIFA or Call of Duty or Call one cute.
You know the COVID situation, yeah?
So we just quarantine and Netflix.
Oh, yo.
Quarantine and Netflix. We just touch while sending the expert. Quarantine and Netflix. Quarantine and Netflix.
Yeah, man.
Chill with a girl. Touch. Why is it the night?
Ease.
Well, the song say quarantine and Netflix.
Yeah, man. Because you know the quarantine time, you come like just TV, you know. And music and YouTube.
I swear, so the bad with the Noah power a while ago. Poor.
No, that's why me play that one there.
Quarantine and Netflix. All right, bro.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, you beat me right there, so I swear. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Let's continue.
Ready.
No, man, I talk about some rich lifestyle. Is it? Let's go.
I play some bad song with the people that have some fun in the house. You know I go.
Listen in the Wendy. One by your listen in a friendly. Where you send me? Girl, make sure it not too. See me, girl, I no fear. This style, my girls not for that trio. Bad man, I no near.
Alright, ready again.
I jet ski on the beach. If you don't pass money, see me no see you. Look dead if you try to tell me things anywhere you run, go me send a king in them feel. Prime like your glad, one word, 1 yard, you don't know one lad. Yeah, DJ. Tell them I want that.
Alright, let me turn it up here now. Ready, let's go.
Here's what the fire, scar shirt. And you violate it, I go hurt, skirt. Hey, them boy, they easy for brush, class dirt. Throw me run the street, I'm on the lane cars first. Telescope, star search. Look up at me, your gal a spring last first. Me go like ease. Read the book, I add the chapter 7 last verse.
I mean, say, yeah, they're afraid of it.
Every time.
But me know them scared of me. Kick it slow.
DJ Smurf.
Alright, Smurf, time it.
Jump.
You never tell them.
$1 million.
I just
$100 million. Jump. I'm about $100 million. Nicco, sharp down.
A
father gotta save them even know that. DJ Smurf. Run nice, me not at the top up. Say there's a boy be cool and don't give me tough chat. I better say them see the road and afraid. Bang me now. One feel out of the top shop.
Jump and jump.
I'm a top up.
Let's go.
I just any and we. Y'all get bricks from bricks that me need. Buy anything me need. Fly anywhere me need. Go.
Let's go.
I just any.
Don't tell them when I touch the road, or me I go roll. When we touch the road. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, you go.
Me cut off jeans. Girl, see me and I see when we touch my beat. Yeah.
DJ Smurf.
The thing turn up and we ever clean, yeah. Give me send for the netball team. Kashana say me sweet just like ice cream, yeah. China asks if me go far in. Got the beast, them turn up on them when we're in, yeah. Cut off foot thing.
Feel like we've followed already now.
Yeah, go to me roll up. In my cranium, my brain it full up. So I in my vein and turn the vibe up. The girl them say them love how me roll up. And when me roll up, me no move cool up. Shoes up in need the shirt and tear up. I no custom me with the beat a burn.
3, 2, 1, and
from your man, me see your baby picture full of.
Yeah.
From your man, me see your walk on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Girl, the sexiness a multiply as you get older. To come fit, to turn on a whole face. Canada, body at California, you're no shape. Like Arizona, more like Coca-Cola. Throw you back the firm, me feel a good live on a cola. Accident, I'm going to pick you up in a Corolla.
Alright, pull up in a the beam up. NC and cranberry, the killer no drink boom. Girl a boom to the rhythm, say she want rent boom. I say she have a good and
watch your throwback rhythm.
Uptown, listen good at 20 fi make sure. Rich badness, we no smell like in a put some boy grow up in a house like America bush.
Ready.
One on one.
Ready, go to.
Everybody can see.
Everybody
can see.
Yeah.
go, let's go.
Y'all say, why make you clean so?
Soap.
Y'all say, why make you clean so?
I agree.
I blow through the window.
Oh, yeah, over it.
Woman, I feel, love me style. Let me smell me cologne from my mind. Love me style. Let me smell me cologne from my mind. Me don't love man, so don't love me. Me get y'all easy like Doremi. Me want every girl out of.
Some for the ladies.
Yeah,
all right. Good for them. For the ladies. Come on.
My girl come flip it like a flippergram, flip it like a flippergram. Make your bumper flip like a flippergram, flip it like a flippergram, flip it like a flippergram.
Ready?
Girl, wind up on the party, girl. Why like it's a carnival?
I'll get your time. Get your time. Ready?
Emotional, so wind up on the
One.
DJ Smurf.
2.
Ricky.
1. 2. Nippy. Ready?
You make him have to come home. Tell her you alone. Sit down on the body like a say you feel your
Why yo?
Tell you pretty, send a picture to me phone.
Why yo?
But on the bristle, you me love it when you moan. If you want dead, give me the stone. If you bushy, me a travel with a comb. See me a wet, longer than a bone.
1, 2, 3.
Why this make you feel like
DJ Smurf. Ricky. Why yo?
1, 1, 3, 3. Let's go.
Hey.
Ready?
Ready.
XOXO, my love is
DJ Smurf. Ricky.
Why you?
Ladies, let's go.
All right, watch us say that. Watch us say that.
All right, ready?
Don't do that. Ready? Hey.
Don't speed it up.
No.
Don't speed it up.
Why yo? Yeah.
Don't stop it.
Got you.
Up and out. Hold on.
Yeah, man.
Hold on. Bring it over, ready. Hold on.
Ready.
Everybody at home, ladies, you know it's your time. Now I want to see everyone on our bubble. Up and out with it. Now we're shut up.
All right.
How the girl them stand up and a look. Why you look to me? Nicco, bounce a wanna feed the girl them bubble pan. If you love to see the girl them a bubble, put up your hand. You play a song, we gangsta boss blank. Nobody girl them die. Play song.
Tell us on the ladies have time right now, you know. So everybody focus. One song over here, one song over there. Nicco, Smurf.
All right, watch us stand
on stage. Let's go.
Ready.
If you're not happy, so Nicco. Y'all are dash out, so me glad me come out. Ready for love, what you talking about? Run me leave, me no want see no
Ready.
Nicco happy if I tell you say I love you.
Got you already. Ready.
My money, my body, now
DJ Smurf. Ricky.
Now where's your time? No time wasted.
Right away.
Versace and Gucci for your body, oh baby.
World Vibes Radio.
Hey.
So we're going to do that, we're going to Jamaica across the world. So we're good with it the same way. Right now we're at the Afrobeat world, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to Africa. Good. Done you.
DJ Smurf.
Follow you. Banana follow you. Brother follow you. Cause I'm in love with you. Money follow you. Banana follow you. Paparazzi follow you.
Give me a little bit of a level around this, okay? You know me have to drop this one. This one out courtesy Burna Boy. Jeremy. Or Jeremiah. How you pronounce his name? But my brethren surrounded upon that one. To ladies, listen now. Listen. In the corona time, can you?
Can you keep a secret for a long time?
DJ Smurf. Ricky. waste no time. We don't waste no time.
Up and out, man. Ready when you're ready. Ready when you're ready. Go on through.
With a bicycle bike and come and be a roll on my Jamaica. Honey, pool full of money, somebody every money, every man jump off in our ring. Y'all know some drink and a drunk and a walk.
You know some one place up for the dancers that now.
Me chain have so much colors.
Like with
murder bugs, yeah. On my skateboard, you fall down. I play for Kingston, Jamaica. You know I go do the.
Let's go.
Everybody bust a dancing. Everybody bust a dancing.
Let's go start a dancing class.
Dancing gotta say, big up to Boglo. Everybody know ding dong, yeah. Run this country.
Again. Ready.
Everybody's dancing, moving up. Everybody free win at the party. Watch us there. Watch us there. Watch us there. Everywhere ding dong and ravers go. Watch us there.
I'll tell you, man, right now. 1, 2, 3.
We a cha-cha boy, be a cha-cha needs to go away. Cha-cha boy, be a cha-cha needs to go away. We a cha-cha boy, be a cha-cha needs to go away. Cha-cha boy, Julia sleep. I'm free, we come on a kick like Jackie Chan. That's the phenomenon. Where you get it from up a Barbie gang road. 10 cars, giving it a bang. Italy, no brother, we no shop at Thailand.
Yes, we're dancing, right? So make we dance. Everybody at home, make we dance.
Be a cha-cha boy, be a cha-cha needs to go away. Cha-cha boy, be a cha-cha needs to go away. Be a cha-cha boy, be a cha-cha needs to go away. Cha-cha boy, be a cha-cha needs to go away. Every man in a gal in.
Yo, DJ Smurf, what? The dance get the people crazy now. Yeah, this is Smurf in my lucky world. Yeah, this is a cool kid a lucky world. Shakespeare, you that a rocky world. Take a flight and go and go lucky world. Ready? Rock the world now. Rock the world now.
What a speed, man. I want to play with that song. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
You know, sister energy, I like you. You know, sister energy, I like you. You know, sister energy. You know, sister energy, I like you. You know, sister energy, I like you. You know, sister cool kid, I like you. Shakespeare, you that.
Play with music. That's what we do. Let's go.
Rock the world down. Rock the world down. Rock the world down.
Give me a call. Give me a call. Give me a call.
All right. 1, 2, 3. Let's go.
Better you go money pull up. Any party we book up full up. For reach levels like that you see what feel. No matter how the eye in the sky you have to look up. Do we want a thing to fall back a man? Me jam me want a blueprint, me want a plan. We no fence for your lean up, and I be a boss in a ravers clan.
Ready, man?
Twist your foot them, twist your foot them. Twist your foot them, twist your foot them. Twist your foot them, twist your foot them.
1, 2, 3, let's go. One ten.
Out the road. Inside. DJ Smurf.
One for one, let's go.
All right.
Play.
Man shoulder for your friend. In a mid chain big. Bad mind is a sin. Unity
112.
Dancers cool than a head. Fire than a big on the feather. Don't bad mind. You can't change, you can't change, you can't change. Man a big on the feather. Looking like a wood on the wood.
Give it a level it up. Everybody inside. Hands up and side to side. Ready.
Now we're set time. 1, 2, 3, ready. DJ Smurf. 130.
Me a jump over. Over the tickers when you remember, she in a shot up shots of the thing I fling where. One me I look from the.
I don't know if you want to look so. No, don't do it. All right. Can't look them. All right. Online looking.
Yeah.
Let me see if I remember that one now.
Hey, you might see me in a Ray-Ban. Man, I'm a bad from day one. Nicco not trust you a pagan. Them in the chat rubbish. Okay, man. Nicco that to be a leaf full like Bizzle.
Alright, Nicco.
Tell them I go on
Look how we're gonna mash up some of them meds right now.
No joke like Bridge.
What's your style now?
Hi.
What's your style there?
Pagan. Party mash up again.
What you?
Alright.
What you?
It's a world party right here. You know how it is on stage. Carrying the vibes to the country and the world.
Oh, we got that no behavior.
All right, ready up. Kill the bass. Take out the treble. Bring down the rhythm. Tell the girl them now.
What you?
Look to the road car.
DJ Smurf.
We're ready.
Two consoles, two DJs, one song at a time. You know how it is.
We're ready. We're ready.
Yeah. Ready.
Look how the sun now raising up, and the crowd now waking up.
Up there.
The atmosphere have vibes.
Up there.
And nothing can break it up.
Up there.
The girl never wind non-stop.
All right.
We are the drinks them in a bike up.
Yeah. Here we go.
24 parties we hit in a row.
124.
Right at the very last show. Before we ever turn the road.
Can go 2022. I got 2020. If we are play soccer, I got 2022. Let's go.
Let's go.
Give me a killer. 1, 2, 3, and.
DJ Nicco. What's that shady Virginia vet is nice. Boy. Hands in the sky, we bring the vibes. Once we reach in your vet is nice. Boy.
Wait it.
And I don't mean to be bossy, but I'm 2020 so kind of. You don't think I already want.
All right, let's go.
Okay, this one I last year. Yeah, 2019. All right,
it's really new.
Me play the new one then. Good.
Them still work with it.
I play on the rhythm.
All right then.
We all on it wrong, yeah. We holding it down, yeah. We up on the stars.
DJ Smurf.
It's a bad to the morning.
I play one of the baddest rhythm them for this year with it. Don't mix it now, instrumental alone. Underneath, ready? Bass man, rhythm alone.
Everybody on stage.
Yeah, play the song, I'm gonna play the song.
Let's go.
I'll play the song, listen. Find the next song in time, but you see that song, and they take away the whole of the carnival for me. Big up my Caribbean people, we're locking right now. Smurf, Nicco, let's go.
It could be water, it could be rum, it could be anything, everything going down.
It could be water.
It could be rum, it
could be anything, everything.
I used to go try with us, what kind of, alright?
And the bumps into the girls over me.
You ready?
But watch the girl
for the ladies, come on.
Like boom, 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 boom.
Mix now, ready? Caribbean vibe right here on stage, you know how it is.
Come on. DJ Smurf.
Hold on. Let's come back this already.
Ready. DJ Smurf.
Give me a level. Have some fun with the music, you know. Have fun. We can't leave Trinidad and come back to Jamaica now.
All right.
We're going to leave Trinidad and come back to Jamaica. Hold on. Slow it down. Gone back at Jamaica, back to Jamaica. For my ladies, back to Jamaica.
Do you think about it, you know?
The bike you got the body, girl. See the bike, you got the body, girl. Instagram, me know say you got the girl. You want the big bike, pass me not the girl.
Bada.
When you dip on the bike, we love it like a
DJ Smurf.
The bike, you got the body, girl. See the bike,
Let's go. You know what I mean? King transition, you know. Ready?
When you dip on the bike, you really like so and the middle like that. You really like so and the middle like that. And me love it like that when you dip on the bike up. Me love it like that when you dip on the bike up. You really like so and the middle like that. You really like so and the middle like that. Your body pretty and you got the heat up. Your body pretty and you got the heat up. Your body pretty, your body pretty, your body pretty. Well. How can we ever pay these two gentlemen for what they've done today for all of us, for you and for us? So that's where we leave it this week. Winfred Williams, on behalf of DJ Nicco and DJ Smurf and the rest of the crew, thanking you for joining and partying with us. And see you again next week, right here on this stage.
That's what's winning, that's a blast. Listen, DJ Smurf. Smurf. Y'all real, I hear well. Smurf, tell them anywhere we go, the girl them love it. Like a 4-leaf club and we love it.
DJ Smurf.
Tell them how much girl them with that judge.
DJ Smurf.
Smurf thing up there.
Come on.
Top class, we full of top sauce. You can run it a kick with no green like grass. Smurf one pass, girl drop. Smurf, girl end dance.
You ask me? The worst person to ask the dancer than the
dancing engineer, Carol. Run it.
Yo, the only thing we can know, we can see the dance and my nose, alright. That name that and that name that. Don't ask me for doing it.
I may have a couple girls when me drip on. Girl, follow me up on the Instagram. She and her friend a chat me a gonna live black. Sometimes I can't feel that destiny. Girl feel the length, them a see me so blessed. You me fly like bird time, them I invest. And I welcome me to them nest. Sauce pass, yeah me young, I'm wavy. Change girl like how me change clothes daily. Yeah me get the bus, now the them fear me. I try run with the sauce, but them a gravy.
All right, thanks for watching our video. You know what to do. Click, subscribe, and be on our stage always.